Welcome to another edition of the glittery bones of advertising. We are back to a full 4 human beings. Nice to see you all. Welcome aboard. Let's get started, shall we?
Well, nice. Now I've been upgraded to human being. That's nice. I should tell my family that. That'd be.
What were you previously?
I don't know. I think something. I want to say subhuman, not quite human. Like some kind of mutant.
Some kind of mutant.
When you see those, when Dr. X, suddenly discovers that someone can travel at the speed of light, or can, I have a capacity for puns that is unequaled, and I think of it as a superpower. But maybe it's just whatever.
Well, that could well be a good segue into our ad of the week, which is some kind of mutant product that we may chew over as a bone. What do you think? Before we do, though, let's introduce the girls. Nice to have you on board.
Hello.
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 Well, let's take a look, shall we? Let's take a look at this.
Yo, these are the bomb!
And they're air popped, not fried.
Popcorners? You're an artist.
Actually, Jesse, it's just basic ingredients. No, we don't eat our own supply.
Mr. White!
Jesse.
Everyone's gonna want to taste. And I know just the guy to talk to.
What are these?
We call them popcorners.
Say their name.
Popcorners! Take! Yeah! How much of this stuff do you have?
We've got 6 signature flavors, yo.
7! You make 7!
7 orcs.
Yeah.
Popcorners. Break into something good.
We're gonna eat a lot of snacks together.
There we go.
Okay, so I'm just going to start out. Never seen Breaking Bad, so this ad's shit for me.
Hey. Okay, then.
We'll just move on. So, yep. Anyone else got any ideas?
Thank you. Tip of the hat to you, sir.
I've never seen Breaking Bad either, but it still made sense to me because I've seen, like, in pop culture, there's been lots of memes and, like, you kind of know those characters and know that scene. So it still made sense to me, even though I haven't watched the show, sorry. But I think it's like typical, it's a Super Bowl ad. And this is like just very typical Super Bowl advertising. Like it's stunt advertising in a way.
As in stop you growing kind of stunt, like a cigarette? No, different.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
I still thought it was funny. I still laughed, and like I liked I guess the end frame and how they brought it together that way, which did make it a little bit more clever. Like there was a little bit of synergy there, but yeah, it's kind of what you expect to see from Super Bowl ads, in my opinion.
I loved it because I loved Breaking Bad, and the ties in with Jesse and Walter White and El Chapo, and like the scene that they reenacted was exactly how the original scene was, but instead of crystal meth, it was the chips. And the way that they tied it in, I thought was brilliant. And yeah, I did wonder though, if you hadn't seen it, like Gabs and Craig, would it make sense to you? And it's interesting that it did for you, Gabs, and it didn't for you, Craig. But I think it was a really smart play. Breaking Bad's the biggest show that Netflix has ever had. Like looking at the viewership of it and popular culture, as you said, Gabs, that a lot of people know of it. And I think where the product is against maybe like a Doritos or something that is a big player in the Super Bowl kind of ad sphere. I think they did really well. I've never heard of the product before. I don't even think it's available here. Looking at their website, though, it's quite disjointed in terms of like how they market normally and how they've done this. It's like really different ends of the spectrum. And initially I was kind of like, how the fuck did they have the money to do this? Like, this is huge.
Yeah.
But then realizing that they're a product of PepsiCo, so that kind of made sense. But they also, on their socials, they had like a lot of lead up to it. And a lot of little like vignettes of different scenes of Breaking Bad, and you know, people were going nuts over it. So I'm sure it played out really well in America, but for me, I love the characters. The show ended almost 10 years ago, but it's still relevant. So yeah, it was a win. It was a win for me. It made me smile.
It's amazing that it finished 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Like,
yeah.
It's
To still be relevant.
I've never watched no, sorry. I watched the first like 5 episodes of Breaking Bad. So I've actually seen this, like the original one of this, but then couldn't watch it anymore.
What? Guys,
well,
you have to get into it.
Because I live in a house where myself and the good lady Douglas like to sit and watch television as a wind down at the end of the day, and she hated it. There was too much tension. There was too much, like, you know, there'd be a pair of drop goggles with the fingerprints all over it, or there would be, you know, like, and it just, she couldn't stand the tension. So, but I think this spoke to a target market really well. I thought this was just I think that this is the people who watch television and want a snack. And, you know, there was that hint of maybe they're more healthy, they're healthier than Doritos. Who knows? Like, they're popped, not fried, whatever that means. I've got no, like, the thought of it being a Doritos competitor. I mean, it looks like a Dorito with, you know, so I thought the whole thing was to me, it's a win because it spoke directly to the target market, and I don't think the characters overwhelmed the product.
Yeah,
probably because it finished 10 years ago, so it was like it was an homage more than anything else. But I liked it. I mean, the only thing that was missing for me was Walter White cooking it up in his underpants. I thought that would have been they could have done that. That would have added a little bit of spice. But no, I thought it was I liked it. And when you look at the website as it is, you're right. It's completely different to everything they do. But I think there would be no one who watched the Super Bowl and saw the ad didn't know what popcorners was after it, which is a massive win, I think. So there you go. That's where I come from. What about you, Craig? You're pretty sitting there just taking it all in.
I think your points are really valid. I think that if they had such an enormous viewership on Netflix, it's a really clever play, because obviously you're playing to the masses and you're not going to get everyone that's seen it. And I'm not sure why I missed Breaking Bad, because it sounds like it'd probably be right up my nostril. You know, that would be something that I would enjoy, you know. So perhaps, Carol, I'll take your advice and have a look back, you know, at the beginning of it. But I think your point's really valid on, if you watched it and if the scene was played out so perfectly, I think kudos to you. And if it is an homage to it, and perhaps, JD, if there was a situation when he was frying it up in his jocks, that they should have gone even that far. But I guess, did it leave us with enough cues to make us remember the product? Like, did it leave us with brand marks? Did it leave us with, you know, elements that we could then remember when we were going through that buying process? I guess it did, didn't it? Because, you know, you're in a situation where you've got this guy right at the start who is obviously one of the main characters. You know, he's taking a bite of it. He's got the pack right there. But I don't know, was there other opportunities for them to really plant the cues in there at the end, as you say, of Super Bowl, if it was played in the full 60-second format, to ensure that you remember? But I love the little cheeky bit you mentioned, JD, about it potentially being more healthy. Like, they didn't say it was more healthy, but instead of saying baked or fried or popped or whatever it was, automatically that drops in your mind, well, it's actually a little bit more healthy for me while I'm sitting here stuffing my face with Coca-Cola or pizza, and I'm having a little popcorner as well. So yeah, for me, super clever if it works for people that watched Breaking Bad. And as I said straight up, I hadn't, but I do agree with all of your you know, your conversation about it. And gosh, at the end of it, I would have to say that a shit ton of people that watch Breaking Bad would now be buying that product.
Yeah.
And
like we say with the Doritos, it's almost like a really aggressive play on we look exactly the same, but as we've all kind of said as well, it seems like a healthier option. So you've got a huge market of people that eat Doritos that are like, oh, it's the same shape, it's got the crunch, it's got this, it's got that, but it's perhaps a healthier alternative, or like a cooler alternative as well. Like it's more in touch with
tying it with Breaking Bad makes it cooler. Yeah.
And all of like the way that they spoke about the crystal meth in the original and the way that they were able to tie that into the new product was so seamless. Like it was even the way that the actors reacted to the different scenes. If you do go back and watch that section of, I think it was in series 1, it is identical. Like we
don't eat the products. You know, when he says we don't eat the product,
and that's what it was all about. Like you couldn't test the meth and stuff. Like it was brilliant. Even
you'll have to send me the
desert
scene
in the caravan. Like it was all,
You'll have to send this scene around so we can all see the original anyway.
Yeah.
Now, JD, I'm going to take a little a step to the side here, although it probably connects quite well with the ad we've just seen. Have you got a question for us that may be quite hard?
A little bit of
I do. The hardest questions in advertising, part 8, whatever we're up to.
9.
9. Sorry, part 9. There you go. My question is, and based on what we've just seen, do global ads work in local markets? Like we've all worked and seen the majesty of L'Oreal, and there is that sense of, oh, this is a supermodel, and which has maybe got an Australian voice now. That doesn't sound like Helena Christensen for some reason. I don't know why. It's like, but do we think global ads are effective in Australia, or should we make our
own? Ladies, I'm going to start. I'm going to give you guys I'm going to pass to you guys to start off there and let us know what you think, because I think the L'Oreal idea is a good one, because lots of L'Oreal, I believe, like you were saying, Jade, is just dubbed over. So whichever language, it's just kind of dubbed. And I reckon a lot of Colgate as well comes in, or, a lot of those sort of products come in, and all of a sudden you've got like an Aussie actor voicing it, but then you've got someone else, it's miming, and it's not exactly right. Like the lip sync's almost right, but it's not quite right.
It's I
think there's hits and misses. I think, as we've all pointed out, if it is like obviously not the person's, if it's done poorly, it definitely misses the mark, and we feel like the poor cousins that don't get the ad spend to make something. But I think if it's relevant, it can definitely work. If there's a point of connection, regardless of where the ad was created, I think it can 100% work. Like, for instance, some of the Super Bowl ads were very American in terms of, I guess, the topics or the way that they were interacting with the product, or the way that they were speaking about it, which therefore wasn't relevant for the Australian market. So I think there was a disconnect there. But some international ads definitely resonate for me. So I think it's kind of hit and miss. I don't think there's a blanket rule of yes, it does work, or no, it doesn't.
You can't sit on the fence.
The fence sit up.
You've got to answer the bloody question.
I guess some of them don't work, so no. Then they can't work. But,
Gabs?
Yeah, I hate nothing more than a really badly dubbed Australian VO. Like, it just irks me. So and especially those, I don't know, there's like those breath ones or something. I think they kill me.
When it's like someone's talking, there's not even like a girl in the scene, it's a girl's voice. You're like, what the fuck is going on?
Like, what's happening?
But that's a re-edit, where we'll just do a VO over the top, and we'll actually take all the scenes out where they speak to camera, and we'll just drop that together.
Yeah.
Kills me.
It's the worst.
So yeah, I'm gonna go, no, you need to find a way to localize, and whether that's still using the same sentiment of the global brand campaign, which is a lot of what we do and what we've done with a lot of our clients who are global. They do have an overarching, I guess, global sentiment, but how do you localize that for the Australian market? Like, we've done a lot of work with brands that are either headed up out of the UK or the US, and their markets are very different, and the way that they communicate and interact with the product is very different to the Australian market. So I think there is method and logic to trying to localize, even if it's just as simple as VO and a mixture of footage. But yeah, if you just take something with a US accent and chuck it on the TV here, I just can't. I can't.
Yeah.
JD, what do you think, my boy?
I agree. I like a good ad as much as anyone, and I'd like to think that I'm
love a good ad, my boy. You love a good one.
I love to think I'm a little bit global. So when like, for instance, the KFC ad in the retirement village, the shut up and take my money.
So good.
Was such a great ad, and it
love it.
And
Still
it
love
worked here, and you could run it here, and people go, I get it. And I know enough of that to see when they try and do an Australian version of that, they either the accountant is writing the ads, or like there's just quite often there's a disconnect between the cultural kind of
never give the accountant a pen. Just give him a calculator or give her a calculator, never a pen.
Where's the where's the truth in the where do you see yourself and go, oh no, I've been like that. The guy, the sweeping guy in the school, I thought was good, but like there's a lot of it that just turns into shit when they try and adapt it to Australian. So I think they need to kind of invest a little bit more, or just be a little bit more careful. But I'm largely against just the laziness of running something global when, as much as we have a very diverse and multicultural society, we're not all African Americans. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Gabs, what were you going to say? Did you have a little quick retort?
I think if they make, like, if you think, I was thinking about the McDonald's fancy eyebrows ad.
Oh yeah.
Killer.
Which that was made in the UK.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, for that one, I think because it was made with no VO and the
Just an idea.
Yeah, the corporate situation felt quite generic. Like they maybe intended for it to be that broad and generic. And there are probably other brands like, Huggies and those sorts of brands.
Yeah, like L'Oreal.
Yeah, make ads specifically knowing that it can run global, but you need to have that mindset when you're starting out, I feel like.
I think you're right. We forced CARO into a decision on not sitting on the fence by making a decision on something. Like we kind of bullied her into saying one way or another. But I think that there's a valid, and you've all raised this now, that there is a valid case sometimes to have a global ad that will work no problems in Australia, because the idea is so killer or the brand is so well known. There's no point, for example, localizing it if it's that good. Say, for example, we're talking about the Macca's eyebrow razor. How do you localize that? Get a guy at the end or a girl at the end going ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I mean, maybe that's as far as you need to go. But I think the question really states, does it work or should we do it? If we answer the question of should we do it, no, it should be localized, because I think those brands need to invest in this particular market, particularly, the large brands and the larger opportunities. So I think the answer is still no. It needs to be done locally, but there are a shit ton of ads that I think do get up that are international that should be localized or should be looked at from a local point of view. But I think
Gabs is right. I think there are international ads, and then there are ads that have been made in other countries that shouldn't run here.
Yeah.
So I think there's a distinction there that Gabs is very daintily just tiptoed down in a bloody Manolo Blahniks, just
more Easter Bunny style. I was thinking, JD, there was a lot of Easter Bunny joy delivered from Gabs over the last few days. It's hit my middle section.
The Easter Bandicoot, yeah. The Bandicoot happiness didn't make it to my place.
We had Easter crickets in the office as well.
What did you?
Yes. Anyway, that's been another edition of the Glittery Bones of Advertising. I thank you all for your time. I thank you all for your input. I thank you all for your import ads as well. And we shall see you again next week. Don't go changing.
All right. Take care. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.